Let me ask you a question and be honest. Are you a trader with a real plan, or are you just gambling? It's a tough one, I know, but it's pretty much the dividing line between consistent winners and those who, always seem to be blaming the market for their losses. Today, we're going to dive deep into the playbook of a true Wall Street legend to figure out which side of that line you're on, and more importantly, how to get to the winning side for good. Okay, so picture two traders. On one side, you've got the person who's just on an emotional roller coaster. They're buying high because of the hype, then they add more money when the price drops, they call it averaging down, and then boom, they sell in a total panic, convinced the whole game is rigged against them. And then you've got the professional. They're calm, they're systematic, they're in control. Which one of those sounds a little more familiar to you? This whole contrast comes from a guy who has seen it all, and we're going to lean on his experience to really get the difference. So who's our guide on this journey? It's a man named Peter Tuchman, who you might know as the Einstein of Wall Street. And look, we're not talking about some social media guru who just popped up last year with a rented Lamborghini. This is a guy who started on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange way back in 1985. He has literally lived through every major market event you can think of, from the crash of '87 to the dot-com bubble and the whole COVID madness. This quote right here, it really gets to the heart of why he's still in the game after all these years. For him, it's not just a job. It is an absolute passion. He feels the chaos, the excitement, the adrenaline. And honestly, that's the feeling that draws so many of us to the market in the first place, right? That high-stakes energy of being in the financial Super Bowl every single day. All right, so let's put those 4 decades of experience to the test. What we're going to do is take some of the most popular, most viral trading ideas, the stuff you see all over social media, and see how they actually hold up against the on-the-floor, in-the-trenches reality of a seasoned pro. If you've spent any time at all on YouTube or TikTok trying to learn how to trade, you have definitely seen these terms: smart money concepts, ICT, order blocks, fair value gaps. It's this whole complex, almost mystical language that promises there's some hidden layer to the market, like a secret code that only a chosen few can understand. So when Peter Tuchman was asked about these exact concepts, his answer was so simple and honestly kind of stunning. He just said, "I've never heard of it. I don't know what that is." Think about that. After nearly 40 years at the absolute heart of the financial world, this viral terminology meant nothing to him. So it really makes you wonder, are these essential tools or just clever marketing? And, this whole idea of a secret language, it often leads to an even bigger myth you see online. This belief that the market isn't a natural force of supply and demand, but instead it's all engineered by a single central algorithm, that every single price move is carefully planned out by some hidden power. And again, Tuchman's response just cuts right through all that noise. No complicated explanation, no deep dive, just a straightforward, "I don't believe so." From where he stands, on the floor, the market is driven by millions of human actions and reactions, not some secret puppet master pulling all the strings. Okay, now for the big one. This is probably the most common complaint from traders who lose money. The idea that market makers can see your stop-loss order and they deliberately push the price down just to trigger it, and then, wouldn't you know it, the price rallies right after you're kicked out. Is there any truth to this? His take on this? He doesn't just say it's wrong, he calls it the biggest misnomer on earth. He is absolutely adamant that this idea of huge market-making firms specifically targeting your tiny retail account is a complete fabrication. So, if it's not true, why is it such a powerful and widespread belief? And this quote right here, it really gets to the human psychology of it all. I mean, it's so much easier to invent an enemy, the market maker, the algorithm, than to look at our own strategy and just admit we made a mistake. Success requires taking ownership, but failure loves a scapegoat. Okay, so if the secret isn't in all this complex jargon or fighting some rigged system, then what is the secret to success? Well, Tuchman argues it comes down to 5 incredibly simple, totally timeless rules that really form the foundation of a professional approach. And here they are. It's not magic, it's just pure discipline. First, have a plan. You have to know exactly why you're getting into a trade. Second, and this is maybe the most important one, use a stop order. This is your non-negotiable safety net on every single trade. Third, take profits. Don't get greedy and let a great winning trade turn into a loser. Fourth, know when to stop. He suggests a hard rule. After 3 losses, you turn off the machine. And finally,
Journal your trades because you will learn so much more from your failures than you ever will from your successes.
Now, to make these rules really hit home, Tuchman uses the perfect analogy: Las Vegas. The pro is like the disciplined gambler. They go in with a budget and a goal. They win, they walk away, and they go enjoy a nice steak dinner. But the amateur, they get a little taste of winning, they get greedy, they start chasing their losses, and they end up at the ATM 3 times and lose the rent money. It is the exact same psychology, the exact same need for discipline.
And speaking of casinos, this is where the market is fundamentally different. It's not some lawless game. Tuchman really emphasizes that the actual stock exchange has systems, guardrails he calls them, built specifically to protect you from the very disasters that traders are so afraid of. A huge part of that protection is understanding the difference between the exchanges. So the NASDAQ is fully electronic. This can lead to what they call thin order books, where there just aren't many buyers or sellers at a certain price. If a wave of selling hits, the price can just fall off a cliff in a flash crash. But the NYSE, where Tuchman works, has human market makers. Their actual job is to provide liquidity, which means they are required to step in and buy or sell to make sure the market is smooth and orderly for everyone.
And look, these aren't just suggestions. These are hard rules baked into the system. If a stock drops 7% too fast, the system literally slows everything down for a review. If it's about to drop 10%, they can halt trading entirely. This gives the market a chance to breathe and stops a pure panic sell-off. This is a system built to protect the public, not to prey on individual traders. So if you follow the rules and you understand that the system is actually designed to be fair, what's the ultimate goal here? This brings us to Tuchman's biggest piece of advice, and it's not about day trading at all. It's about the massive difference between chasing quick profits and patiently building real generational wealth. Take a look at this number, $1.3 million. That is a life-changing amount of money. For most people, it feels like an impossible goal, something you could only get with a crazy lucky trade or winning the lottery. But this number isn't from a lottery ticket. This is the potential results of doing one simple thing: consistently investing in a boring S&P 500 index fund starting from a young age. It's the power of the market and compound interest just quietly working for you over time. So what does it take to get there? What's the secret high-risk, high-reward investment you have to make? Well, it's this: $250. That's it. $250 a month. For a lot of us, that's just cutting back on a few subscriptions or maybe some expensive coffees. This isn't the thrill of some get-rich-quick scheme. It's the undeniable, almost boring power of discipline and consistency over a lifetime. And this, right here, is Tuchman's ultimate call to action. Stop wasting money on stuff that loses value the second you buy it. Instead, buy ownership in the greatest companies in the world. Change your whole mindset from being a consumer to being an owner. So, we end right back where we started. You've just heard from a man who has thrived in these markets for 4 decades. The path he lays out, it isn't about secret codes or fighting invisible enemies. It's about discipline, responsibility, and patience. So the only question left is, which path are you going to choose?